I have lost count how many times I have played Resident Evil 4 over the years on different systems. And we are finally here with the remake. It's just a phenomenal remake. The story and pacing of the game overall, with even more story elements added to the game, all while staying true to the original game with much better interactions. With a fully redone, reworked, rebuilt campaign that completely blows the original out of the water, and it's everything we have wanted. Capcom has gave us remakes of Resident Evil 2 and 3 in the past, and now we have a remake of Resident Evil 4, which in my opinion is the very best Resident Evil game out there. And this is 100% the best remake of a video game I have ever played. Sorry, Dead Space. The original Resident Evil 4 switched up the formula from a fixed camera perspective to an over-the-shoulder perspective, completely changing the way we experience these games. Moving forward, changing from a slow-paced survival horror to an action survival horror title. And to celebrate the launch of the remake, as I eagerly awaited for this game to hit my Xbox Series X, I dived back in to the original Resident Evil, and although this remake isn't coming to the Nintendo Switch, we do have the original Resident Evil 4 on the Switch, and playing this original version of Resident Evil 4 all over again, comparing this to the remake and everything back then that went in to this game, to everything that has been reworked and redone for the remake, is just mind-blowingly wow. It is insane. This has aged. It has aged somewhat poorly when you think of the controls. As Leon in the original game, you were unable to perform two things at once. Leon Kennedy was very stiff. You couldn't run and gun at the same time, so in this game you can perform two actions at once. There is quick motion to this game, and you can react a lot quicker, unlike in the original game where you had to stop doing one thing to do another thing. Also, from behind you can still take your enemies to Suplex City. Now in this game you play as Leon S. Kennedy, a Raccoon City police officer turned government agent from Resident Evil 2, and you're basically still recovering from those events that transpired in Resident Evil 2. You are no longer a recruit Raccoon City police officer. You are a government agent that works directly for the president, and you are sent on a mission to Spain, a rescue mission to rescue the US president's missing daughter Ashley. And then from there, everything just spirals out of control. It's more tense, sinister, up-close action, more flushed out, with modernised controls, and just overall a much better package with all of the thrills and suspense as the original game, taking it to a whole new but yet very familiar nostalgic level, with all of the cat-like reflexes as you take on hordes of the infected, overwhelming you at times, with chilling audio throughout, with amazing cutscenes and amazingly reworked environments, details and structures, from melee attacks to slowing down enemies where you can shoot a certain part of their body to cripple them and slow them down, to gruesome, satisfying headshots and using your knife to finish off enemies with one final swift melee blow, with a much more refined, modernised combat system that doesn't restrict you like the original did. The original was intense, it was suspenseful, and this takes it up a notch. It's more intense than ever, as you pray that you have enough ammo left in your gun to get through this. Bosses that have been more flushed out, tweaked, or just completely changed for the better, with absolutely satisfying, badass combat attacks as you run up and stab an enemy in the throat with a finishing blow. Amazing. So satisfying. Now, unlike in the original game, you can crouch, you can sneak around and take out an enemy from behind with a stealth attack. And parrying with your knife, you can use your knife a lot more rather than just opening up boxes and using it as a last resort to attack enemies. Saying that though, your knife can be broken after so many uses, and you will need to go and find the merchant to fix it. You can sneak up on enemies and take them out silently and deadly, with careful use of ammo and resources, and you'll always be scattering around to try and find more health herbs, to find more shotgun ammo, handgun ammo, and just different weapons that you can use at your disposal as you carefully try and preserve what little ammo you have and what little health you may have as well, to get you through this roller coaster of a monstrous ride with all of Leon's one-liners still intact, as well as with weapons being able to be swapped out with a single tap to change to one another, which is so much better than having to manually go into your inventory to pick another weapon. The environments as well can be used to your advantage to get you out of tough situations as well, to get you out of a sticky situation if you are running low on ammo, or low on health, or just being overwhelmed by a bunch of enemies. You can use things in the environment. Now let's talk about one big annoyance in the original game. Ashley, the person that you are rescuing for the president, your main mission to protect Ashley, to go in there and rescue Ashley. And thankfully, she isn't as annoying as she was in the original. And no longer will you be commanding Ashley to go and wait somewhere or to hide somewhere. Well, not as much anyway. She'll be following closely behind you. And there's two different styles here, and it's described as tight and loose. Ashley will follow Leon closely behind when you're exploring the world, and you can also get Ashley to hang back a bit while Leon goes in and deals with the enemies, or just search around the area to see if it's safe before you basically bring her back in close proximity. Which basically means Ashley will stay low and try and remain undetected. But no matter what you do, she'll never really be safe. You'll always be protecting her. You'll always be shooting someone to free her from somebody's grasp. And although when an enemy does take her down and she becomes incapacitated, you don't need to use your precious herbs anymore to revive her. And another blessing is that from the original game, you will be brought out of the action with these Metal Gear Solid Codex segments. And in this one, it all happens in real time. It all happens in game. Other welcomed additions to this are side quests. And these are quests that the merchant has placed around the areas. And then when you do them, when you complete these side quests, you'll be rewarded with gems to trade for upgrades, special items and treasure maps as you explore the world to uncover keys, resources, and solving puzzles to help you progress. And you'll find yourself filling up your inventory very fast, and then you'll need to choose what to keep and what to discard. As you continue on, you will be able to increase the capacity of your inventory. Early on though, it will be a struggle as you fill it up fast, fill it up with potentially unnecessary stuff, or fill it up with ammo for guns that you potentially don't have. So you need to choose what to keep and what to throw away early on to keep plenty of space in your inventory for the stuff that you know that you'll need. Also, you can combine things together, combine resources together and herbs together. There is a bunch of stuff that you can combine together that will aid you in the world. Now, the greatest character in Resident Evil 4, an iconic Resident Evil character, you guys know where I'm going with this, the Merchant. The Merchant in Resident Evil 4 was on a whole different level of awesome. The vibe, the mystery, you could tell that he just didn't give a about anything. Sadly, he isn't in the remake of Resident Evil 4. He will be missed, but he lives rent-free in my mind with all of his iconic dialogue and lines there. Also, there's shooting challenges that the Merchant puts you through where you'll be shooting pirates with a time limit attached. And that is it. This is the Resident Evil 4 remake with just everything that is better, everything that has been heightened from the original and modernized. One of the greatest games of all time, a benchmark game back then, and I strongly think that this remake stands as the greatest remake of all time, with everything old, new and familiar still intact that will have you on the edge of your seat all over again.